All right, my guest today is a California realtor who's been licensed for 4 years and built her business primarily with buyers attracted through YouTube. And in her first full year, she made over $100,000 strictly from inbound content. No cold calling, no paid leads, just strategy and consistency. She joined the Wolfpack through the Social Agent Academy, and she is a perfect example of what happens when you plug into the right systems. And I'm so excited to have you here, Karrie. Thank you for joining me and being on this channel. I'm excited.
And I'm excited to be here, Meg. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So you've made $100,000 in your very first year strictly from YouTube leads, which is amazing. So what clicked for you that made the content become your main drive for business?
Okay. Well, I was a new agent at the time. And when I came into real estate, I wasn't planning on even doing it. I was planning on flipping houses.
Okay.
And because of the way I, became an agent and then joined EXP and chose the Wolfpack.
Yeah.
I was intrigued by the idea of doing things through YouTube. And I don't know why. I don't have experience at YouTube. I had done class plays, like a couple of class plays decades ago, but so I was semi comfortable. And so I thought I'd try it. It didn't matter though, because my first YouTubes were horrible and I was totally nervous. And it was hard to get through. I was going around my house constantly saying, done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect.
I think I want to put like that on a billboard.
Totally. I still remind myself of that. Now it's a different level of where I am, but it's the same thing. Done is better than perfect. Anyway, I'm very, very attracted to following step-by-step, rules and direction, which is exactly what we were offered through Social Agent Academy.
Yep.
And so I did that. I started to produce it and leads started to come in. And the next thing I know, I was working the leads and not flipping houses, never flipped houses. And what I didn't recognize was that how much I was going to enjoy working with the people.
Oh.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they came in through YouTube.
Okay.
So they already got a chance to know me, and virtually everybody that has called, not virtually, absolutely every single person who has ever called me is kind of like me. We run at the same speed, we talk the same, and it makes things really enjoyable. I remember I got from one other person at our annual event once. They said, you didn't even have to worry if there were a lot of other people in your market doing YouTube because you're only looking for the people that are looking for you.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what I found. So I ended up being a full-time realtor.
On accident. It just happened.
Right.
It picked you.
That's right.
That's amazing. I love that. And so a lot of new agents do struggle to attract buyers consistently, or business in general. So what were the first on camera or behind the scenes steps that you took that actually moved the needle for your business?
Well, I would say it was definitely the pros and cons of the city that I live in. And that was a smaller choice than it sounds like, because in Marin County in California, our county has about 27 different little cities and towns and unincorporated areas of Marin County. And of those, there are probably about 9 pretty specific places that have their own downtown. And I've lived in one of those for almost 30 years.
Okay.
So I decided that all my initial content should really be around the place that I knew best. Not that I don't know the other areas. I do, because I raised 3 kids here. They were all in sports, and every parent knows when you have a child in a competitive sport, you are everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. So,
yeah.
So I really got to know particularly schools,
yes,
gyms, and racetracks, where everything was in Marin County. But so those were the first things I did. And the first buyer that I attracted was a buyer that was looking to relocate it exactly to where I live, which is in Tiburon, inside of Marin County, which made them a $3 million buyer. So that was a pretty sweet place to start as well.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad that it's worked out for you in that way, because being leaning into your community is definitely helpful when you're an agent. But so you joined the Wolfpack, and that was after finding the Social Agent Academy. So what inside of the academy made you realize this was the path for you, not just doing real estate but also the systems that we have?
Well, I think that I am one of those people that I don't want to call it blind trust, but there's a lot of proven aspects about Social Agent Academy Pro. And I'm a big believer that if you follow something and give it the time that it was suggested it would take,
Right.
which there is a time limit there, that you have to just go all in. That if you do something partway, well, you can't expect the result at the end of the time period.
Right.
And I think that time period is currently like 6 months and might even be getting extended a little bit more of what you really need to pour into. Yeah, it was 6 months. I'm pretty sure we're saying like a year now, probably because it's just more saturated.
Yeah.
And it did take 3 months before I got that first lead.
Okay.
So I'm just somebody who trusts the system. And I'm willing to do it. I knew how long I would be doing it at a bare minimum, and it worked out.
Yeah,
right.
That's phenomenal. And so when you are licensed in California, which is competitive, one of the most competitive markets in our nation. So what advantages has YouTube given to you over traditional prospecting?
Oh, that's fun. It's fun because one thing about Marin County is most of the agents here are in traditional brokerages. So my market was not heavily saturated in people doing YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. Right. Or anything. And so it put me at the forefront of being one of the agents who is able to do this type of advertising too. So when I go to a listing appointment, they know I can put this material out because I actually do it. Right. So it was really great to have this like extra advantage. There was one disadvantage though, and that was that when I was a newer agent, listing agents in my area didn't want me to film their house and put it all over my channel and everything because it made them look bad. And they were very aware of that I was doing things they didn't know how to do.
Right.
And so they didn't want me to do that. So I had to go around that. And that's why I ended up doing so much content on pros and cons of Marin County. I basically never did too many of the house tours at all because I was spending more time trying to get, yes, you can do it. So I did have I've had listings as well, and I've done my listings, but for the most part, I didn't even try to get that anymore. I just stuck with everything about Marin County. And then I actually also reached out and did some more like buyer seller content, mostly to help my clients.
Absolutely.
As I'm not trying to appeal to the United States, right? It's just I'm trying to make it so that people can rewind the tape and listen to it again if they need to.
Yeah. No, that's actually really smart, because I think a lot of us kind of get caught up in not just home tours, but the pros and cons or things about the city, and we kind of lose sight of the processes that some people might actually be interested in, especially if they're either a first-time buyer or haven't bought in 20 years, or they're relocating. Same with sellers, so I think that's actually really smart. I might have to use that, actually.
Yeah, I'm really glad that I've done that. It's like, I live in a really small area. There's about 250,000 people in all of Marin. And of course, I'm servicing even less than that because I'm not going to the full coast or to the far north. But it has made it so that I don't have to get a ton of views to turn around and get clients. And I find that content that I'm doing that is really for buyers and sellers, I do get just as many views on that as I do on my regular content. And the other thing that I do these days, because I have shifted since the beginning when I did all the pros and cons of all the cities, to mainly doing market reports.
Okay.
And that has been easy for me as an agent, I gotta say. I pull down everything on my MLS once a month.
Yeah.
I make 3 videos out of that. All of them are in just single family, just condos and townhouses. I film them all on the same day.
That's awesome. And I mean, and we've studied data anyway, so you're right. You might as well use that to your advantage. That's a really good strategy. I love it. Love
Yeah,
it.
and then we're the expert. We're the expert on the market in the area.
That's very
And
true.
so that's what mostly feeds my pipeline now is
That's
that kind of content.
That's amazing. And so when you are talking to agents who want to start a channel but freeze on content, what are simple formulas or structures that helped you stick with it and not overthink it?
So that's taking me back to before. And admittedly, I mean, I think that I would suggest to any agent to just get started. Don't expect it to be great. And in fact, it's kind of fun because you can look back at your own stuff a year later and
Yeah,
go, okay, that was terrible, but it's not really terrible.
right.
We think it's terrible. And I think the biggest reason we think it's terrible is when you first start, or at least for me, speaking for myself, is the person that showed up in my first videos wasn't who I am. It wasn't really me. It was a stiffer person who was just providing information. I wasn't laughing. I wasn't having any fun,
Yeah.
and I could say I didn't make mistakes, but I probably made more then and I just caught them out. And now I can make mistakes sometimes and I just leave them in,
Yeah.
because it's just the way things happen. So I think the biggest thing is to push through and do it. Maybe you think to yourself that you're not going to post it, but I think that would be a significant waste of your time.
Oh, yes.
You
Yes.
absolutely should post it.
Post it.
Post it. And then you have something to look back to. And I really do think it takes about a good solid year, at least it did for me, to really feel comfortable about sitting down at my desk and talking into a camera.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? Like as if I was talking to you like the way I am now.
Yeah. I
So
agree.
that took a while. So I would just say just pushing through and getting it done and knowing that you'll have something better to look back at. And you will want to be able to look back and see that. It's entertaining.
It is. I mean, a lot of my stuff, because I do record on my phone, it pops up in my memories on this day. I'm like, oh,
Oh, of course.
what did I look like 5 years ago?
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it can be. And then there are other times I'm like, what on earth was I thinking? But I'm so glad that I did it, because now I'm comfortable. And even if to others I might look ridiculous or something, like it doesn't bother me as much at all. So
Yeah, it doesn't bother me either. I'm just, I'm happy that I went down the path and that I did push through
yeah.
at the time. And there was a whole lot of stuff going on in my head, like
Oh
this.
yeah, same. And
But
I think that's just that you just gotta do it. And once you do your first one, it's like, okay, then you kind of get it. It
Yeah.
really, the first one is the hardest. It's absolutely
sure.
the hardest. And I think that too, like where we've benefited a lot is not just so like Social Agent Academy, at least in my experience, doesn't just give me my content ideas, but also my content calendar. What am I gonna, you can technically schedule 1 or 2 months at a time. It doesn't have to be, just weekly or monthly. And so I think that's where a lot of struggle is too with some of these agents who are, oh, I'll post, but how often or when and what,
Yeah.
what time. And so I know for me, like that part of the Social Agent Academy has really benefited my business as well in keeping me consistent.
I would agree. And there was a lot of changing for me on that one. I think I managed to record a few things to have like 3 videos to go for like the first 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Something like that. Maybe it was 6 weeks. And then I went down to 2 videos, which was a lot easier. So obviously the first week I didn't record 3 and post 3. I had done them like 2 weeks before,
Yeah.
so I think I had like 9 videos ready to go before I started posting. But I was literally recording and posting and worrying about what I was going to record and post every single week.
Yes.
Right? I picked one day and I would do it then after I got that first 9 done. And then I went to 2 videos and now I only do 1. But I also went from posting, from thinking about it, writing it, recording it, posting it 1 day a week to 1 day a month.
Yeah.
Huge improvement in my life to the 1 day a month.
Same.
And I find that I only need to do the 1 video a week now, and it keeps my pipeline going just the way I want it to. But if I wanted to double it, I could do that.
Yeah.
Easily. And it would all happen on that same day.
Yes. Yes,
So
I agree. I've done it. I think I've done it multiple ways, like where I'm trying to do one video a day for the week and then, one every other week or two a week. And same, I ended up, it's 2 days out of a week, once a month that I just block off and I do all of my content for, I have two channels and all the social media platforms. So, it can be a lot, but then it's like, it's done. It can get posted. I don't have to worry about it. So yeah,
yeah, it's crazy. But you're
yeah.
right, because like you, I also have two channels. So the other channel is definitely doubling the work. But again, happens all at the same time.
Yep.
And as a matter of fact, sometimes I dress up like I dressed up to be interviewed here. And so I will just go ahead and record a couple more videos
There
when
you
we're
go.
done because I'm already ready to
Maximizing your
go.
time. Yeah, maximizing your time for sure. So, let me ask you, what is the biggest difference between like a buyer who finds you on YouTube versus a buyer from a traditional lead source?
Well, there's one big difference, which is that because I live in such an expensive place to live, there are buyers who come here enamored by the beauty here. Really, we have, it's very, very beautiful and extremely good weather.
Yeah.
I think those are the biggest pulls to Marin County, and also that we have lots of hiking areas. So we're not like San Francisco, where our per capita mileage is just much, much more different. We're not nearly as dense, not even close.
Yeah.
So people come here for that, but then they get the reality of the fact that it takes a lot of money to buy much
Right.
in Marin County. So the biggest disadvantage for my YouTube that does attract people who are relocating is that there are some percentage of them that change their mind. I even had a buyer who we were literally negotiated the house down to the price they wanted, got them a better deal, and then they got cold feet. They had it. It was all the way to the end. It was like, okay, and so that like taught me a lesson, right? Yeah. But so the ones in town, that doesn't happen. They're already here. And that's another reason for the market reports, right? Because those people are often in town, and
Right.
the buyer and sellers can attract sellers in town.
Yeah.
So I went from doing all this, pros and cons stuff, which I still think is extremely valuable, but by shifting the way I've shifted, I've actually increased how many sales I end up at the end of the day.
Nice. Okay, so it's very beneficial then.
Yes.
So now that you've built a six-figure business from your content, what's the next skill, system, or platform that you're going to start focusing on?
Oh, well, that's such a good question. Well, as you know, I have this other channel too, and I am focusing a lot on that. So my biggest shift has been to focus on the other channel, partly because I do that with my son as well. And so that's like a family thing. Yeah. And, like every other mom out there, there's nothing I wouldn't do for my kids.
Right.
And so that's become, and if matter of fact, that's my plan. It is just going to become a bigger and bigger focus of what I do. I'm not going to, I get your question, because one of the things that I definitely knew when I started YouTube is that I couldn't do all the platforms, and so the longest time I've always been on all of them, but just not in the way that those platforms want me to be seen. So initially I did cut up my content on Opus Clip and spit it back out, which creates, not anything close to what those platforms want to see. And the one thing I have shifted is, I don't think I've started doing it with my own content yet, but I do it with my content from my other channel. Those are now scripted for those platforms.
Okay.
Now, I could bump it up even better because those platforms want something different from each other. And I'm only doing one that's good for one, and then I'm cutting that across. So it's like one step at a time. It would be overwhelming to like decide you were going to do long form YouTube and then learn how to do Instagram the way Instagram wants to see it, and TikTok the way TikTok. It would be crazy. Yeah. So I can't even imagine the time commitment, or literally how terrifying that would be to try to have that all swarming in your head at the same time to be good at it. So Definitely, I love your question because I
Yeah.
think that is the way to go about it. And the advantage of starting with YouTube long form is you can do things like have it cut up by Opus Clip. It's not fabulous, but at least you're on everything. You're seen,
Yeah.
right? And then you can improve over time.
Absolutely. And I do think, I mean, they're totally two different monsters, two different algorithms. And I think people, like for me, short form is just more of like a consistency. I don't think, I mean, I know people watch my stuff. It's definitely less interactive sometimes depending on the content. Whereas my YouTube, the interaction I get is more substance, right? Like there's more to that person who's interacting. They're actually staying and watching the whole content. They're not goldfish with a 3 second
Right, right.
attention span. So I can totally understand that. So it's great. So you're basically going to just dive more in and optimize the platforms that you're doing, and which you've done such a phenomenal job with. So I don't blame you for
Well,
wanting
thank
to
you.
expand on that, because it's been really great to see what you've done.
That's great. And you too, by the way, and your short form is really good,
Thank,
unlike mine.
thank
I'm
you.
just there.
I can't take all the credit. I've been very transparent. I hired a VA who edits and posts all of my stuff. I mean, I do all of the raw content. I come up with all the ideas and whatnot, but he's very much helped me be consistent with all of my videos, whether that's YouTube or social media. So, but because I couldn't do it all, I was never consistent with it before I had help. And as you know, consistency is like key with anything.
Yes,
Let's say whatever lead generation
absolutely.
you decide to do, whether
Right.
it's content or cold calling or door knocking or open house, whatever the
For
case,
sure.
consistency is the thing. So that was kind of why I went that route. But I
Well,
mean,
in all transparency, I think I got a video editor. I think it was about three quarters of a year in. I hired a video editor too, and that was after. I mean, I do remember that my first video took me like 2.5 days to do. Two and a
yep,
half days.
yep,
To write it, film it,
yeah.
edit it, and then I managed to get that down to about 4 hours for a video, and I decided that was too much.
Yeah.
So then I
Yep.
got an editor, and that has been a lifesaver.
Yeah, I think it's once you get to that point, it's really beneficial. I don't think everybody needs to start off with that.
Yeah, definitely not.
But it's beneficial once you get there for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. And so I have one more question, a bonus question.
Bonus.
Yeah, bonus. What would you say to a brand new agent who does want to make YouTube their primary lead source pillar, but doesn't know how to start?
Did you say if YouTube? Was that in the question? Okay. Well, obviously, I mean, they have to have a system. If you don't have a system, you're going to get lost. I mean, there's a lot of information out there. It might even appear to conflict with each other. But the advantage of Social Agent Academy Pro is that it's updated every year. Well, pretty much every year. And now it's connected to a weekly platform that people can ask questions. I didn't have that when I first signed up, but I do now. And the agents that are joining my team are using that.
Yeah.
They're going there because why wouldn't you? You have a question, you don't have to try to figure it out yourself. You just go to the weekly meeting. And in the meantime, you can feel confident that you have a program that stays up with the changing times, which is extreme. So I really cannot imagine doing anything other than that.
Yeah.
You could go around and research all yourself. And as you know, you do a search and you got last year's
Right.
somebody solving it.
Yeah.
And it's not the same as this year's.
Yeah, our systems are extremely innovative for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Especially in like we're in the age of technology, and that's if you either evolve or you go extinct. So and it's definitely I think that's where we kind of stand out from a lot of other groups or teams that
Absolutely.
do that kind of thing, because we just we have our leaders that get it.
Yeah.
They get it, and they know what's needed. And so it's
Yeah,
nice.
and it's phenomenal. It's great. So
Yeah,
we're
absolutely.
very lucky.
We are. We are. Well, I'm so grateful that you were here today. Your story is the perfect example of modern real estate done right, which is choosing a platform mastering it, and letting the business compound from there. So for anyone watching, drop your biggest takeaway below, hit the like and subscribe button for more success stories like this one. And if you're ready to build a business fueled by inbound leads, content, and community that actually shows you how to win, click the link in the description to book a private Zoom call with us. I will also link all of Karrie's information in the description below so you can follow along with her as well. Thanks, Karrie. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much, Meg. It was great being here. I'll see you later.